It's time for Wolo and Friends on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. Presented by Homer Skelton Hyundai. Here is your host, the voice of the Tigers, Dave Woloshin.
Welcome in on this Thursday. Yes, indeed. As we get closer and closer to college football, it's good to hear Harold Grader's voice from the AutoZone Liberty Bowl. I'm with Greg and Eli just a bit ago. J-Mo, this is a weird day. There are so many sad stories that have come out of sports. Yesterday, we mentioned Len Dawson passing away, and then it wasn't much later that we heard the news of a second really big name in this market from way back when who passed away. Did live a good life, 84 years of age. But Wayne Yates, who was a Tiger All-American in 1961 as a center for the Tigers, 2 years as a Tiger, and a very charismatic one at that, by all accounts that I have ever heard about Wayne Yates as a player, was the number 5 overall pick for the LA Lakers. Apparently his game did not translate. He was only with the Lakers for a year. He then embarked upon a coaching career and was able to succeed Gene Bartow when he left to go to Illinois first and then on to UCLA. But when he went to Illinois, that was the way it worked, right? Yeah. He then had a career record in Memphis of 93 and 49. I don't think he enjoyed the popularity as a coach that he did as a player. 93 and 49 in those years. He did go 2 NITs and made the 1976 NCAAs. And I know he passed away in Louisiana. I think that was where he was born, his home state. He went back there. And at the age of 84 yesterday, passing away, our condolences to all who remember him dearly. Wayne Yates has left us. This is just a terrible story. And it makes you wonder if in contracts with NBA teams that are all guaranteed, if there will be clauses about charity games, exhibition games that aren't really sanctioned by the league. But there's this Pro-Am thing that took place this past weekend. LeBron James played it and a number of players played in it, including Chet Holmgren. And it was disclosed this morning that he has a foot injury in his right foot because in this game they played, that was in Seattle, wasn't it?
It was in Seattle, with the irony. The Oklahoma City rookie gets injured in Seattle.
Oh, gosh. That's the get back from the city of Seattle for taking their team? Wow. Yeah, so this rookie, who we all know, we saw in Summer League, he played okay, although Kenny Lofton did a pretty good job against him. I thought, honestly, Malcolm Dandridge did a pretty good job against him in the NCAA tournament. He wasn't the guy that beat Memphis. Drew Timme beat Memphis, not Chet Holmgren, but Holmgren goes high in the draft to Oak City, and he's playing in this Pro-Am event. What it's just called the Seattle Pro-Am?
That's right.
So they have college kids. They have great pros that come, and it's a charity fundraiser, right?
That's right. And it's I think some overseas pros as well playing. It's a whole grouping of guys that are big name, not big name, you name it, they're there.
So because of this weird summer that we're having with weather all over the country, I mean, look at the flooding that's going on in Mississippi right now. That is some scary stuff. I mean, scary stuff where towns that you wouldn't think have, water that's waist high, like out of nowhere. And it's still raining this morning. It's not a pretty picture. It's a slow-moving front. But it was more humid than normal in Seattle. And so there was condensation on that Pro-Am floor and wet spots. And apparently he hit a wet spot. And Chet Holmgren is out for the year. CBS just reporting, out for the year. If you're Oak City and you're trying to build some momentum and get your kid playing time and experience so he can take off in the future. And you are now a year behind.
A foot ligament, too. I don't know the extent of what that kind of injury entails, but that doesn't I didn't know you had ligaments in your foot, number one, and I didn't know you could injure them.
I think it's like a stress fracture, isn't it? It's the disease, and forgive me, look it up real quick. Greg and Eli were just talking about it, and Eli said it's named after the doctor who discovered the ailment, like Les Franck or something along those lines. But it's named after the doctor. I have
Les Franck injury.
Les Franck.
Yeah, that sounds like that would be named after somebody.
Yeah, it's a doctor.
But positive spin, though, Joel Embiid didn't play for 3 years. Similar foot injury, not stress fracture. He had, actually bones broken in his foot, but it caused him to miss multiple years at the beginning of his career. He spent that time first getting fat and then bulking up. So, positive spin.
Well, he could use some weight. There's no question about that. I don't recommend this to gain weight and muscle mass. Not a good plan. But that's what he's stuck with now, and poor Oak City. I mean, that is a tough story there. And if I were an NBA owner, I would have to think about saying, look, you can't – you got to stay in shape, but work out with your teammates. Have pickup games in our gym. You can't go play exhibition games out of town and expect us to give you guaranteed money. And I'm sure Oak City at this point is on the hook for this guy's first year. And let's hope it's only a one-year deal. But as you said, it took 3 years for Joel Embiid to really get back to normal. Now, he played some games within that 3-year period.
I believe he set out definitely one full season. And I think he set out, he played all but 5 or something games. So 2 full seasons, then maybe half a year. But, yeah, he played a couple games in that 3-year stint, but not very many. But I'm sure the Oklahoma City doesn't want to wait 3 years to do anything, especially with how bad they've been the past couple seasons.
You know what? I would assume that there's enough ways to treat this now where you could expect that he'll play next summer league, and he'd be eligible to do that as a sophomore, as a second-year guy, especially a guy who didn't get to play his rookie year. So I would expect that would be the case. But at this point, he is out for the year. So that is really, really a tough story. And the third one, there's 3 little things going on with the NFL. Let's start with the Cowboys losing their starting left tackle, who is an 8-time Pro Bowler. Tyron Smith has a torn hamstring. How about this? The hamstring pulled away from the bone. That's how tough this guy is, because guess what? He got up and walked to the locker room. Now, J-Mo, tell me, how can you do that? I've tweaked my hamstring, and I'm limping around like crazy, and I know not to put any weight on it, and, I know how bad it's going to be. It's why in my 50s I had to stop playing softball, because I kept partially tearing it, tweaking it. And this guy tore the bone, the hammy away from the bone, and walked to the locker room. They thought it was an ACL.
Just saying that makes my stomach turn. I don't got a weak stomach for these kind of injuries to begin with, but that's walking off the field is remarkable there. I can't even imagine.
It is. So there's another Smith. I think it's Tyus Smith, who was a tackle at Tulsa.
Tyler
Smith, and he's a guard now. He was a guard. He'll move over to left tackle, but that's got to hurt them, right?
Oh, a rookie tackle versus
8-time Pro Bowler?
Exactly. And rookies are historically bad as well. It's a shame.
So that's a sad story. By the way, what other owner would be doing this, since we're talking Cowboys? At this moment, on First Take from Dallas, there's Jerry Jones. And Jerry Jones just called Stephen A. Smith a fraud because he's a closet Cowboys fan. Now, I know that's not true because I know he wrote for the Philadelphia Inquirer. I think he's a Philly native, so he's got to be an Eagles guy, right?
Big Eagles guy.
He cannot be a Cowboys guy.
But he loves talking about in Jerry's defense, there's nothing that Stephen A. likes more than putting on that Cowboy hat and walking into Dallas, walking into the Star and talking about the Cowboys.
And get booed, right?
And get booed.
He likes the boos.
But it's very jovial on both sides. The fans love booing him. He loves getting booed. It's fun.
But, it is kind of fun, too, to have Jerry Jones. I don't think I thought of this in the beginning because I had just left Dallas when Jerry Jones's regime took over. I did not like the way they treated Tom Landry. Not at all. I don't think very many people in Dallas like Jerry Jones to begin with. And, of course, now he's become an endeared sports character in that town by fans, I think. He's probably, Jerry probably goes along with the old axiom, there's no bad pub, right? It doesn't matter if they hate you or if they love you, if they're talking about you and buying tickets and upping the value of the Cowboy brand, he is all about it. And he's fun to have on the air. I don't know of any other owner in the NFL that has that kind of cachet that Jerry Jones does.
Certainly not.
No. And so he's out there. He's on national TV. It just ended. But he's out there touting his Cowboys. And I believe that Russell Copeland is going to be on with us in a little bit here. He's going to pick the NFC North and the NFC West. When he picked the NFC East last Tuesday, I think he picked the Eagles. Now I like the Eagles even more. I wasn't sure about the Eagles. I think it's a crappy division, honestly.
That's a fact. But the Giants, the Giants could sneak up on somebody. Brian Daboll, new head coach.
Yeah, they're 2-0 in the
That's right.
exhibition
Undefeated.
season. Yeah. I don't think that's going to happen. I don't think they're going to win that division. And the Cowboys could still win it. But, I worry about Dak Prescott now because your guy, your blindside protection, your left tackle, is now a rookie. It will be interesting. Cleveland center J.C. Tretter, he's retiring, but he's going to remain the president of the NFL Players Association, the NFLPA. So apparently, you get a little older, a little tougher to do it, even though centers usually last a long time. He's been there a while, but he's gone. And then this story, this is kind of sad for me, but this is what he wants. Shaquem Griffin, who, of course, went to UCF with his brother and watched him play a lot in college. And, he got drafted, didn't make it, bounced around, but his brother's team, Seattle, took him. He is retiring from the game, and he's lasted in the NFL, 3 or 4 years, I think.
That's right. Three seasons.
He's the only one-armed guy ever to play in the NFL, and he said he's going back to plan A because he never thought he was going to be in the NFL. I thought that was a great line.
A great way to phrase it, too. Like, it's just like you're just playing, borrowed time, essentially, in the NFL, and now you get back to what you had planned for with the rest of your career. So hope for the best for him as well. And his brother's still a great pro, too. And he was a fine football player as well, not to diminish his
his
abilities.
brother's not with Jacksonville, right?
I believe that's right.
Yeah. While we're on the topic of football, did you see what the Tigers did yesterday in practice?
Oh, they were playing cowbells.
Cowbells, simulating the cowbells. I didn't really quite remember this, so I am excited that they're going to play at Scott Field because it's a great press box. It is a great atmosphere. It's not a long trip, right? The last time the Tigers played at the home of the Cowbells, believe this or not, 12 years ago. 2010 was the last time Memphis played in Starkville. That's hard for me to believe. And the last time they played on any SEC field was Missouri in Columbia in 2018. And I think next year, finally, Missouri is answering that game.
Well, they opened the season with Memphis. I don't remember this. That was Dan Mullen's season. That was his second year there they played against them. Yeah. I have no recollection of that.
Well, I do remember the last time. The last SEC game Memphis played was at Columbia, Missouri. And that game Memphis was never in. There was an early turnover. I can't remember if it was a pick or a fumble. So this is in 2018. So we're talking 4 years ago. And Missouri manhandled Memphis. Manhandled them. I don't even remember the final score. It was like 39-7 or some crazy score like that. But Memphis was never in the game from the get-go on the very first possession. Maybe it was a block punt. There was something that happened in the first 2 minutes of the game, and Memphis was never in that game. I suspect Memphis will be in this game. And at 10:45, as always, our SEC historian Ron Higgins from Baton Rouge will join us. He's going to go over his SEC divisional predictions, who's the MVP this year going to be, and who will be the coach of the year. That's probably Nick Saban. He's the richest. We know that for sure. I'm sitting in the Family Leisure Studios. A reminder, you've only got about a week or so for the summer clearance sale to sort of dissipate and disappear. It's still going on. Above ground swimming pools, $2,000 off. Do-it-yourself specials, including a year's worth of chemicals for free thrown in if you pick up the pool yourself. There's so many incentives right now in the summer clearance sale. Patio furniture in stock that's sitting there because they got to move them. 30% off. Still play gyms and trampolines up to $1,000, and they're including free installation right now. And you always want that to happen. Wow. This is great stuff. All you got to do is get to I-40 and Winton Road. That's where Family Leisure is. The summer clearance sale in full swing. You know our title sponsor? It's Homer Skelton Hyundai in Olive Branch. That is where you'll never pay more than sticker price on a new car or a new Genesis. Sure, laws of supply and demand are out there. I went past on Sunday. Homer Skelton Hyundai. I saw more new cars on the lot, but not full. I've seen other places that just no new cars. And so when they get them in, because of the loss of supply and demand, other dealerships are going, well, we gotta charge you here, $7,000 over sticker price. Great deal. You never pay more than sticker price at the corner of Craft Road and Highway 78. Never will you pay more than sticker price on a new car at Homer Skelton Hyundai. So, yesterday, the commissioner of the PGA Tour, Jay Monahan, spoke, and he listened to those players in their player meeting, and they are adopting some new things. First and foremost, the PGA Tour is upping the ante in prize money to the tune of $146 additional million. You heard me. $146 more million in the PGA Tour purses. They are, you may say, where are they getting the money? So the prize, this new money is coming from, first of all, this year was a good year. It was the best year in terms of ticket sales and sponsorships in the history of the PGA. So the LIV, while trying to take all these guys, have not hurt fiscally yet the PGA Tour, because this was their best year in history. So the increased revenue from this year, they do have big reserves. They're dipping into their reserves. They're getting more money from sponsors, and they're getting more money from their partners. That means the television networks. So that's where the $146 million is coming from. They will have top-tier events, top tier and top 20. So they're going to play 13 elevated events. I don't know what the number is. Is that going to be 20? Is that going to be 30? Is that going to be 50? Is that going to be 70? We don't know. We're not sure. But they will play 13 elevated events. They will be required to keep their PGA Tour cards to play 3 other non-elevated events. So that's 16. And by the way, the 13 elevated events does not include the majors. So now, to really play on the PGA Tour, you're going to have to play 16 events, and you're always going to want to play in the majors. So there's 20 events you're actually going to play. So I don't think you're getting less golf, but you're getting more money, a lot more money. And in 13 of those events, I don't think there's going to be a cut. You also know that they came up with, if you get your tour card, that's the top 125, you get $500,000. That's your bonus, I guess, or your guarantee for making the tour. And that, in essence, in my mind, is the money that you would have made by showing up, right? So we've complained. I've never understood, at least since the PGA Tour started making a bunch of money, how you could ask your pros to spend their own money and play for free the first 2 days. This is what pays for that now. And again, I would say unless you're really outrageous in the way you travel, and you're talking 20 events, I can't see that you're spending more than 250 grand on expenses. So basically you're getting 250 and your expenses are paid now. So that sort of takes away the cut thing that they've been complaining about. Plus, I don't think these 13 events will have a cut. So you're going to be guaranteed money in those things too. So they are really accommodating to those upper tier players. Also, I thought this was good because I love the way the business model works because I love the charities. And St. Jude in particular, it's been a part of the fabric of this tournament here for not all 65 years, but for most of the years. And so they were, I think, considering for a minute their nonprofit status. And they would go privatized because they could immediately get more money. And I think that would do away with part of what the LIV is suing them for. I believe that was part of the strategy of the LIV litigation. But they've decided they're not doing that. They're going to stay nonprofit, which was good news for all of the charities, that is for sure. We got to take a break. When we come back, we'll head to Baton Rouge. We'll talk some SEC football. Can't wait for that with our friend. Oh, I'm sorry. That comes a little bit later. I'm getting ahead of myself.
You're so excited for college football.
That is 2 times this week that I have absolutely blown it. You know what they call that? They call it OLD. That's what I'm getting, OLD. No, we're going to talk football, but it's NFL football. Russell Copeland's coming your way in a minute. He'll be brought to you in part by Conway. Conway Services, heating, cooling, plumbing, electric, and, of course, that famous tune-up. $69 to keep your MLGW bill down. $69 to make sure your system's efficient, which makes it last longer. And these things ain't cheap, folks. You want that system to last as long as it can. Doing these tune-ups in fall and in summer really pays off. Still going to be warm. If you want the summer one, they'll check your Freon. They put the Teflon coating on the unit outside on the blades to protect it from the hot summer sun. Right after they've cleaned everything, they protect it. And then that 16-point Super Saver tune-up makes your system hum. It's in harmony. All you got to do is call 384-3511. Conway Services, heating, cooling, plumbing, and electric. Back in a minute with Russell Copeland.
Add a little fun to your lunch break. Join Johnny Radio for Sports 56 Happy Hour from 11 to 1 every weekday on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Hi, everybody. Greg Gaston for FanDuel. Add a little excitement to your sports watching experience by betting on all the action on FanDuel Sportsbook. There's a reason why FanDuel is America's #1 sportsbook. Their app is simple to use. They've got great odds on all different betting markets, unique fun bet types like same-game parlays, and exclusive always-on promotions such as enhanced odds boosts on the biggest events to let you get more action out of every game day. And if you win, they even get you your winnings safely in as little as 24 hours. Download the FanDuel Sportsbook app to get started, and be sure to sign up with promo code GASMAN so they know I sent you. That's FanDuel Sportsbook, promo code GASMAN. Must be 21 or over and present in Tennessee. First online real money wager only. $10 first deposit is required. Bonus issued is non-withdrawable site credit that expires 14 days after receipt. Restrictions do apply. See full terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. If you have a gambling problem, call Tennessee Redline at 1-800-889-9789.
Hey Mid-South, the end of summer is almost here. Kids are getting ready for the new school year, but I'll be left behind unless I get my rear in gear. Colin Johnston here from DeSoto Auto Sales, and I need your old ride. So if you bring your keys in, I'll help you end the season on a high note. You could get up to $4,000 more than Kelley Blue Book value for your old ride. So don't spend another minute in a car you hate. Trade up when you trade it in today. Even if you've had credit problems in the past, my For the People credit approval process works. So if driving your current car is getting old, bring your keys in and you could get the deal of the season. Up to $4,000 more than Kelley Blue Book value for your old ride. But hurry, offer ends at my end of season Keys In sales event. I'm Colin Johnston, your dealer for the people. See all the cars at DeSotoAutosales.com. That's DESOTO autosales.com.
Credit requires bank approval. Negative equity may be refinanced. Trade-in condition determines actual trade allowance. Kelley Blue Book is a registered trademark of the Kelley Blue Book Company Incorporated, which is not affiliated with DeSoto Auto Sales. Offer absolutely ends on August 31st, 2022.
All aboard! All you catfish and hush puppy lovers, get on board and go to A&J Catfish Station. If you're hungry for good cooking and the best fried catfish around, whether it's whole or fillets, I've got a little secret. A&J Catfish buys 100% catfish from local farmers. And I know you like fresh veggies. And A&J has a ton, including fried okra, green beans, homemade coleslaw, and candied yams. Want to try something different? How about A&J's homemade spaghetti? And if you're into chicken wings, order A&J's seasoned wings or honey gold. Come on aboard to A&J Catfish Station. Open 11 to 4 Monday through Thursday. Fridays 11 to 5. And on Saturdays open noon to 5. Exit at Ridgeway just off of 385. Then go 2 blocks south. Call 901-795-0300. That's 901-795-0300. All aboard to A&J Catfish Station.
Now, back to Wolo and Friends on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM, presented by Homer Skelton Hyundai. Here once again is the voice of the Tigers, Dave Woloshin.
Welcome back in. We'll talk NFL football with Russell Copeland here in a matter of moments. He's brought to you by a guy who really appreciated Russell as a player with the Tigers because he's a big Tiger fan, and that is Matt Eflin with the Eflin Insurance Group, the team that does insurance the collaborative way. They're going to sit down with you. They're going to get to know you, and then they're going to figure out what is the best way to protect you, and that could be for a home program. It could be for your auto. It could be for life insurance. They have various different ways to go with that, but they got to know you first, and that's the key thing, and what your budget is, and they match you with the perfect protection. Same thing with commercial insurance, especially if you've got a small to mid-sized business. That's their specialty at the Eflin Insurance Group. They get to know you. They know your assets. They forecast you out. They look at your budget and protect you the right way. You want to get it done the collaborative way where people get to know you, please give them a call, 386-GUR. That's 4777. He uses that number because he loves the Tigers. That is the Eflin Insurance Group, 901-386-4777. So there is a bunch of NFL news today, and we went over a bunch of that earlier. Russell Copeland, how tough is Tyron Smith, the starting left tackle, 8-time Pro Bowler, who tears his hamstring away from the bone and gets up and walks back to the locker room? Amazing.
Man, that's very tough. But on the football side of it, when you look at the Dallas Cowboys, I think the offensive line was a big question coming in. Could they stay healthy? And you see now that they're not healthy. They're going to need that offensive line to protect Dak Prescott, especially when he does not have the weapons that he had last year, losing Amari Cooper. You look at Gallup, he's not going to play later on in the season. You get Washington from the Pittsburgh Steelers. He's hurt now, so that leaves just CeeDee Lamb. And this right here is going to be – this really is going to hurt that 1-2 punch, that running game, as well as trying to protect Dak Prescott.
Yeah, it's a blow, and it makes sure, if I recall correctly, you picked the Eagles in that division anyway, so it makes that pick look even better.
Definitely. I think the Eagles have the best defense, and now when you look at the offensive, woes that you have with the Dallas Cowboys not having weapons and losing their left tackle, that's really big, a big loss for the Dallas Cowboys.
Two guys retired, the Cleveland center, who's also the NFL PA Prez, J.C. Tretter, he's stepping down. That can't be good for Cleveland. And then Shaquem Griffin's retiring as well. The only player and a UCF guy that we got to watch in college with his brother, the only guy with one arm ever to play in the NFL, and he lasted 3 years. So I think he gets a pension, which is good news.
Definitely. I think he was a great player, real fast. I just think when he came to the National Football League, he was kind of a tweener. What are you playing? He was fast in college, but he wasn't quite big enough to be an outside linebacker, defensive end. But, man, he had a great motor and had an excellent career at Central Florida.
Yeah, I loved his line when he retired. He said, now on to plan A, because he never expected to play in the NFL. And he becomes a story because he is the only guy with that one arm. I was going to say handicap, but it wasn't a handicap for him. The only guy in history ever to do that. What about the threat of retirement for Cleveland?
I mean, when you look at it, I think it was time for him to retire. But I think the main thing that you look at Cleveland right now is their offensive locker room dealing with a lot that was going on with Deshaun Watson. Now they have to be able to come out. Now they know what's going on. But losing Deshaun Watson is going to be a big hit for them. And just see how this football team now gels, now dealing with all of the turmoil in the offseason. I still think they finished fourth. I do like Brissett at quarterback. But just overall, I just think it's just been a lot going on with Cleveland. That's why I have them finishing last.
All right, let's get to the NFC. You want to go with the West or you want to go with the North first?
Look, let's go with the North. And when starting with the NFC North, this division has been in the top of discussions in the offseason because of a lot of moving pieces. You look at the Packers trading away the best wide receiver in the National Football League, and Devontae Adams. Minnesota gets Zadarius Smith from the Packers. The Bears hire a new general manager, Ryan Poles, Matt Eberflus as head coach, which was a big question mark. And I think the Detroit Lions had an outstanding draft, picking arguably the best defensive player, and Aiden Hutchinson, and also the best wide receiver, and Jameis Williams. With that being said, I'm going to start with the Chicago Bears.
Now, they're 2-0, don't you?
Hey, I love Justin Fields from a talent standpoint. But when I look at this team, Dave, I just think it's a depleted roster. And when you lose your best offensive player in Allen Robinson, the wide receiver, you lose your best defensive player in Khalil Mack, when you already have a depleted roster, I think the offensive line is going to be average at best. I think they have a lot of holes offensively. And I just think it's going to be a lot for your second-year quarterback to overcome. I think with his talent, I think he does be able to squeak out some wins because he can run, he can make a lot of plays. But I got them finishing fourth just because of the roster. I think it's just very depleted. With that being said, I go to the Detroit Lions at 3. I think Jared Goff is not the immediate answer, but I think he is good right now. For long term, he's not, but for a short term, I think it is. I think they have a really good roster. I talked about their draft, but overall, they're still rebuilding as well. But I think they have the third best quarterback in this division. I have them finishing third. Second, the Minnesota Vikings. I think when you look at the Minnesota Vikings offensively, Dalvin Cook, one of the best running backs. Justin Jefferson, he's putting up outstanding numbers in just his third year. Adam Thielen, I think he'll be healthy. I think their defense is going to be better than they were last year, but I think they have some holes on that defense, and that's why I got them picking number 2. Overall, it's the Green Bay Packers. I don't think there's a question or doubt that the Green Bay Packers would not finish number 1 in the division. I think they have a chance easily to just run straight through this division. But the biggest question for the Green Bay Packers is once they get into the playoffs, can Aaron Rodgers deliver another Super Bowl? But I love them offensively. I love them defensively. They're going to have a top 10. You talk about losing Devontae Adams, but I think Alan Lazard will step up. I think he'll put up the type of numbers that Jordan Nelson picked up. Number 1, Green Bay Packers. Number 2, Minnesota Vikings. Number 3, Detroit Lions. And unfortunately, Dave, I got the Bears at 4.
I can't really argue with any of that. What did you think of Aaron Rodgers blistering his young receivers while at the same time praising his offensive line? I thought that was pretty clever.
Absolutely. I think he has to let his wide receivers understand, this is what I expect from you. There's been a lot of great receivers, in the Green Bay offensive program within the last 4 or 5 years. And I think he let them know. And then he's praising his offensive line because he understands that he has to be able to get protected. And I think the wide receivers understand what he wants. And I think the offensive line, they know that they'll protect him. And I think he's going to pat them on the back and say, hey, man, protect me, and we'll have another great year.
All right, your final prediction of the division. It's the NFC West with the Rams, the Seahawks, the Cardinals, and the Niners.
Well, the Rams are the Super Bowl champs, but both the Cardinals and Niners, in my opinion, are capable of declining the Rams. The Niners, as the number 6 seed, fell just short of a Super Bowl appearance, and the Cardinals started off hot last year, 7-0. But when you look at it, they faltered toward the end. They lost a couple of games toward the end, and when they got into the playoffs, they did not play very well. But when you look at that division, all of them finished within 2 games of one another. I think all 3 make the playoffs again this year. But I'm going to start with number 4. When you look at the Seattle Seahawks losing Russell Wilson, the face of the franchise for 10 years. I think that's huge. When you look at their team, you're talking about a depleted roster. The Legion of Boom is gone. They had one of the worst defenses last year. It's going to be pretty much the same this year. When you lose Russell Wilson and you're going to replace him with Drew Lock or Geno Smith, I don't really see a lot of production offensively. I got them finishing fourth.
I thought their line play, both sides of the ball, was so terrible in the exhibition games that I have seen. Wow. Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, they're not any better than what they were last year. And we understand that it's preseason, but I just really do not see any players, offensively and defensively that can really make a play. Of course, you got Metcalf. I like Lockett, but the offensive line is not really good. They went on and got a left tackle and Cross from Mississippi State. They picked him in the first round. But this is a really depleted roster. And I have them probably one of the worst teams this year in the National Football League.
I agree.
3 is going to be the Cardinals. I like the way they started last year, but if you look at how they finished, they really did not finish strong. And you look at them not having DeAndre Hopkins. I know they got Hollywood Brown, but I think he's been banged up in camp. Losing Kurt as another wide receiver, I think they have a good top 10 defense. But overall, I don't think they get out to the start that they got last year. I got them finishing 3. Number 2 is going to be the Niners. I was really close to thinking that the Niners could even move up to first. And the reason why I really like the Niners, because they still got Jimmy G. What do you do with Jimmy G? But right now, I think he's going to be on the roster unless something happens within the next week or so. I think he's going to be the backup, but I think Trey Lance has an outstanding year. They have a great defense. They got a top 5 defense. They can run the football. They can spread the football around. They've got probably one of the best utility players in the National Football League in Deebo Samuels. I have them finishing 2nd. And 1 is Matthew Stafford and the Rams. Comes over from Detroit, wins the Super Bowl in his first year. Now he's in his 2nd year under this offense. He'll be even better. And losing Odell Beckham Jr., I think, was big. But when you get Allen Robinson, you don't lose anything there. They can run the football. They've got 2, 3 good running backs. They've got a great defense. But last year, that defense underachieved. They were not one of the best defenses. They pretty much finished 3rd, giving up the most points. But they played great in the playoffs, and they played great in the Super Bowl. I think this defense gets off to a good start. Give me the Rams number 1. But I still think this division right here will still be close. It'll be tight. You talk about the AFC West, but the NFC West is very competitive as well. But I think the Rams, as the Super Bowl champs, I think they finish first.
Do they repeat?
I don't think so. I just think it's just too tough. When you look at all the competition, I think they'll be good. They'll get into the playoffs. But repeating, I don't think we've seen a repeat since, 2004, 2002, when you look at the New England Patriots.
Exactly.
And there's a reason for that, yeah. So I don't think they repeat. I think their division is tough. I think they'll get beat up a little bit in the division. They'll be ready to go in the playoffs, but no, they do not repeat.
Kyler Murray signed that big deal with Arizona, and then, of course, we find out, and it was rescinded, but they had that clause in there about doing extra study because I guess the implication was he doesn't do enough of that home film work. What kind of year does he have? Does he shrug this off, or are there some issues?
I don't think there's issues with him studying. When you lead a team to 7-0, and his name was up for discussions for MVP, I don't think they should have ever put that out. I don't think it was meant to put that out, but you don't put that into a franchise quarterback. I think he studies. I don't think you get to the position that he's in when he was a top baseball player in college that was drafted. He was a top football player. You look at his size, you look at his stats, you look how he leads. I think he's an outstanding player. I don't think he has the type of year that he had last year simply because of the weapons. Not having DeAndre Hopkins is going to be huge for him. Yeah. But I think he's a great young player. I think he's a great leader. And for me, I really did not like that information coming out because it didn't sit well with me. You cannot lead a football team to 7-0, and everyone is praising him. And all of a sudden, towards the end of the year, when you fall, he gets hurt. Then you blame him for a lot of things that happen. I think you have to go at your head coach. Your head coach has to get your football team together. Your head football coach has to make sure your team finishes well. I love Kyler Murray, and I think he's a great leader.
Jimmy G, last thing. Some people think it's just the system there. I think Jimmy G is an underrated quarterback. I really do. What happens with him? I can't believe he's going to stay in San Francisco all year. At some point, there's going to be a quarterback go down, and Jimmy G is going to end up somewhere, I think.
Well, I don't think Jimmy G is an underrated quarterback. I think he's a good, solid quarterback. But when you look at trying to win a championship, you have to have a quarterback that can win games for you in the playoffs. I think Jimmy G can do just enough. But when you want to go to the next level, I don't think Jimmy G can get you there to the next level. He doesn't throw the football outside of the numbers very well. And when he gets into big playoff games, he's like Kirk Cousins. He makes a whole lot of mistakes. But I think his value goes up once the season starts, as you mentioned. I think someone picks him up. But for San Francisco to have him as a backup right now, I think that's big for them. But we just have to wait and see within this last week and a half. He may get picked up by someone within this next week and a half.
He is Russell Copeland. He talks NFL, and, of course, he talks Tiger football with us every week in this slot. Russell, thank you. Have a great week. We'll talk to you next Thursday.
Thanks, Dave.
That's our man, Russell Copeland. He's brought to you in part by Ken Garland Custom Home Builders. 2 generations of fantastic home building in Memphis. Goes back to his father. He's taken it over really about the last 15 years. Ken is one of those rare guys. He sees little details, big picture, all at the same time, and he knows what a commitment you're making, whether it's your dream home or whether it's a renovation because you want to stay in your location. You love your lot, but you want the modern amenities. Renovation with innovation, that's the specialty of Ken Garland and Ken Garland Custom Home Builders. Go on his website, kengarland.com, then call him, 751-1632. Fun to talk to, and a guy that sees little details, big picture, all at the same time. You got land in your family, not sure how to utilize it? He knows. Looking for land? He's got it. He's full service. He's Ken Garland, Custom Home Builders. We take a quick time out. When we return to Baton Rouge, we go. Some predictions from our SEC historian, Ron Higgins. That comes your way in just a minute.
Let former Memphis Tiger Gabe Kuhn and Brett Norsworthy take you home every afternoon with Sports Time on Sports 56. Weekdays from 3 to 6 here on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
I'm Gary York. I'm the service director at Lexus of Memphis. Our service department wants to be more than just a place where you get your oil changed. We do glass repair, windshield replacement, recalibration of your camera and sonar systems, even wheel repair, tire replacement, all the things you would expect from a luxury automotive dealer. Please check out our website. You can schedule your appointment, check out our specials, hours of operation, or if you'd like to do it in person, please reach out to one of our associates at 901-271-5199.
Wilkinson's Liquor and Wine is celebrating their 35th year. Come in today and choose from a big selection of tequilas, vodkas, and over 70 different single malts. Bourbon whiskey fans will find over 200 bourbons and whiskeys from around the world, along with wines from every region for all you wine enthusiasts. Wilkinson's Liquor and Wine, 146 Highway 72, Suite 102 in Collierville. It's next to Captain John's Barbecue. Open every day, including Sundays from 10 to 7 for football and all sports fans. Wilkinson's Liquor and Wine, celebrating 35 years with you.
Hi, I'm Emmitt Smith, Pro Football Hall of Famer and 3-time champion. Trust me, I know about joint pain.
Pro Football's all-time leading rusher, Emmitt Smith, talks about chronic joint pain and exciting new regenerative treatments from QC Kinetics.
I know what it's like to fight through pain, but now, you and I, we have help. QC Kinetics.
QC Kinetics is the nation's leader in advanced, all-natural regenerative medicine that can give you lasting relief with no drugs, no downtime, and no surgery. Do you suffer with constant pain from arthritis or injury? Pain in your knees, hips, shoulders, or lower back? Don't assume steroids, pain meds, and surgery are your only options. Regenerative, restorative, natural solutions are now available.
Don't let your joint pain keep you from doing the things you love.
Call QC Kinetics now for a free consultation and learn how regenerative medicine can repair and restore damaged joint tissue.
Make the call to QC Kinetics. Tell them Emmitt Smith sent you.
Call QC Kinetics, 901-445-1010. That's 901-445-1010. 901-445-1010.
Gossett Mitsubishi Summer Sales Event is in full swing, and it's time to put you in a new ride today. How about 41 MPG Highway just in time for that summer vacation? We Gossett with 2022 Mitsubishi Mirage G4, $259 a month or $18,485. Want to be ready for anything? Long or short drives, whatever the road or weather conditions? Get it right in the all-wheel control 2023 Mitsubishi Eclipse Cross SEL, $439 a month or buy for $31,085. And 2022 Mitsubishi Outlander, 7 seats, $459 a month or $33,500. Plus, peace of mind with our stellar 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain limited warranty. That's Gossett Mitsubishi, 1870 Covington Pike, or shop online at MemphisMitsubishi.com.
If you want it, we got it at Gossett Motor Cars. 72 months at 4.19 APR, 500 military rebate, G4 NHF 08028, MSRP 18985, Eclipse PC 00695, MSRP 31585, Outlander NZO 79171, MSRP 34,000, includes all rebates and incentives, must finance through Kia, excludes tax final license with approved credit. See dealer for complete details. Offer valid through 9/1/22, dealer stock only.
Now back to Wolo and Friends on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM, presented by Homer Skelton Hyundai. Here once again is the voice of the Tigers, Dave Woloshin.
We are all sitting here anticipating college football. We're all thinking like next week, but really it begins this weekend, and there are some interesting games. Big Ten's got a game, Nebraska and Northwestern, and Vanderbilt is playing in Hawaii. Is Vandy going to have a winning season? Let's ask our SEC historian. He's making predictions on on both the divisions and Player of the Year, Coach of the Year. Ron Higgins joins us from Baton Rouge, all rested and excited for the season to begin. What happens with Vandy this weekend in Hawaii? They got a new coach, their former all-star quarterback Tommy Chung. What will go on in Honolulu?
If Vandy can't beat Hawaii, Vandy's going to have a long season because Hawaii's just about their entire team quit.
They did
in January,
but they got rid of the guy that they were quitting for, so they may be back. And they got a new leader, but he's unproven.
Well, yeah, he's unproven, but they barely got anybody back from last year's team. I mean, it's just like basically the whole team left. I mean. They hired with Tommy Chang, their all-time, quarterback.
Yeah.
I mean, unless Tommy's got some life left in his 40-year-old arm, I mean, Vandy should win this game, even though Clark Lee is already proven he needs to be drug tested by saying Vandy was going to have the finest football program in America, which is,
Well, he didn't say for this year.
I've seen some Vandy coaches of the year say stupid things, but that had to rank right up there. I mean, you're good Lord, you're talking about a program that has been traditionally awful. I mean, they've had 13 football coaches in the last 50 years combined for 6 winning seasons.
Wow!
So good luck, Clark Lee, he was a Vandy fullback at one time on 3 Vandy teams that lost 22 of 24 SEC games in that period. So good luck.
All right, let's start with the SEC East and your predictions. And everybody's got Georgia winning. Now, if you look at all the other so-called SEC experts, second place, some think it's Kentucky, some think it's Tennessee, some think it's South Carolina. Who do you think it is?
I'm going to go with the Vols. If they can play an ounce of defense, that would mean they should, they got enough offense to win. They're scheduled. They get Florida and Alabama and Kentucky at home, which is good. And I think Kentucky's kind of like their swing game between finishing second and third.
I agree. That game is a really good game.
I think I go Georgia, Tennessee, Kentucky, South Carolina, Florida, Missouri, Vandy.
Missouri, did they make a mistake coming into the SEC? And I'm not talking money. I'm talking winning.
I mean, I'm trying to think where they've really contributed athletically in any sport. And
their basketball's gone down since they've been in the SEC.
Yeah, they really haven't contributed any sports since they came in. I mean, they came in, with A&M, and A&M obviously has contributed in baseball some and women's basketball some. But Missouri, not so much. They'd probably be better off in another league, but back when they first joined the league, they did go to 2 straight SEC championship games in football and lost, and that's something that Ole Miss has never been in the championship game, so Missouri's got something over Ole Miss. But Missouri's they've had some really, really good individual players, but especially defensively, but never really put anything together. To have enough SEC talent, SEC depth to win, to challenge for the division title.
Everybody just about in their predictions has Florida 5. How long does it take for Florida to move back to some form of prominence in the East?
I say 3 years. I think Napier's a really good recruiter. I think he's a really good offensive mind. He was on Nick's staff at one time, and by being on Nick's staff, most of the time, if you're very smart and you pick up stuff and you stick to your own personality and don't try to be Nick like Will Muschamp did. I'd say 3 years. Like the Florida's. There's too many good players in Florida, in the state of Florida, not to be good. It's the most football-rich state for high school in the nation, and what's amazing is you look at all three of those programs, the major programs in the state, and they have been very good for the past several years. And you keep waiting. You just got to hire the right guy as head coach who knows how to recruit, knows how to fit people to a system. I think Napier might be the guy. I was really impressed with him at Louisiana Lafayette. All he did was win. Played a really good offensive system. His players had fun. If he doesn't try to be, put it this way, he's a much better recruiter than Dan Mullen ever hoped to be. He could hope to be, and I think that'll help right off the bat.
I agree with that. It's funny you mentioned all the assistants that have worked in some form, whether it is as a consultant or an assistant coach. Lane Kiffin obviously is a good story, and so is Jimbo Fisher. And Jimbo's goes way back to LSU. But you mentioned Muschamp. And, the first guy comes to my mind, Jeremy Pruitt, who didn't try to be like Nick, but was a bomb. How do we view the legacy or the family tree of Nick Saban when it comes to coaching? Only one beat him, and that's Jimbo.
Yeah, and of course, Kirby Smart did last year.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, in a big game.
Yeah, I think he's got a pretty good. His coaching tree has been fairly solid. Look, it's hard to live up to the master. It really is.
It is.
Jeremy Pruitt was just a train wreck hire. Tennessee, the administration was like so poorly run for, they got duped into, Fulmer taking over as AD, and that was a disaster. And they made a bunch of bad hires in a row. I think Heupel is going to work out.
I do too.
Jeremy Pruitt reminded me of a guy, a 1970s coach from the South, wearing bike coaching shorts, screaming at his players, "You bunch of dumbasses." That's Jeremy Pruitt to me. I thought he was totally overmatched in so many different ways, and it proved to be correct. However, obviously, I've been reading he's rebounded nicely. He's become a kind of a professional poker player.
Oh yeah. He won some money in a couple of weeks ago.
Won some money. So
yeah. All right, let's get to the West before we run out of time. We mentioned Saban. Everybody picks Alabama to win and to win the SEC championship game, by the way, over Georgia this year. But again, second place, there's three different schools that could have actually four. I saw one guy pick LSU second. I don't believe in that one. But A&M, Arkansas, and Ole Miss, those are the three schools mainly vying for the second place finish in the West.
I'm going to go with Arkansas. Second.
Really?
Yeah. I just think he's done a really nice job of kind of piece by piece putting a program together. They've got, I think four of their top six rushers back. KJ Jefferson improved a lot as the season went along last year. He had 21 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. Got a lot of their probably some new receivers out in most of their defense. 4 defensive starters back, but some of their main guys are back, and they got picked up a couple of defensive backs from LSU. And of course, LSU picked up a couple of defensive backs from Arkansas, even trade. I think their schedule lines up, nicely where they can finish second in the West. Third, I got A&M. I still don't believe in Texas A&M. I don't believe them until they stop losing, games they shouldn't lose. I mean, honestly, this.
And they play A&M in Arlington, which is almost a neutral game, right?
Yeah. It's just, to me, it's just A&M has not. I mean, they've had really good recruiting years, but he hasn't had a quarterback yet he can depend on. Their offense has not been great when it's needed to be great. They lost games, last year. I mean, they lost 3 straight to Georgia, Ole Miss, and Auburn at like middle of the season, and then no, they're not. I was looking at somebody else. I mean, but A&M like last year they came into Baton Rouge. And LSU was like on life support last game of the year, and they lose to LSU 27-24. I mean, and that gives them 4 losses, and that should just. And this is a team again. Like I say, earlier in the year they lost to Arkansas, Mississippi State back to back. Well, this team is so great, has so much talent. How come it can't win? And I still question whether they can win or not. I got LSU 4.
Wow.
I think that all depends on how quickly their transfers can acclimate, especially on the offensive line, defensive backfield. I think their quarterback's going to be okay. Probably going to be Jaden Daniels, the Arizona State transfer. I've got Ole Miss 5th, but only because they lost so much. They lost so much offensively. Lost their top 4 rushers and top 3 receivers, and then the quarterback. That's the question for me. In Mississippi State, I got
6.
6, and then Auburn 7, which has been pretty much a train wreck.
So that'll be the end of Harsin, I suspect, for sure. If that is the case, yeah.
Auburn. I would like to say Coach of the Year would be a surprise, but I mean, I celebrate the consistency of Nick Saban, but my MVP is going to be Will Anderson of Alabama
linebacker, who's got a bunch of people talking about him as a Heisman Trophy candidate. Ron, we're out of time. We appreciate it as always. We'll do it again next Thursday.
All right, Wolo. It'll be true game week next week. Not this Coke Zero, week 0 stuff. I don't know what it is.
You don't like week 0. Okay. Thank you, my friend.
See ya.
Ron Higgins. Brought to you in part by, and he loves golf, by City Golf. Wait till you see what they're going to do with Audubon. We talked about that with Mickey Barker. Wait till you see Pine Hill. It's a new course with a new clubhouse. You've already seen the new Overton Park. You've seen the new greens at Fox Meadows. There's no question. The city of Memphis has invested in golf. Great cities have great amenities. Golf is a great amenity. We've got several. And in a couple of years, we'll be talking about Memphis as one of the best cities for public golf in the country. What a good job they've done. So get out. Go check out the new Fox Meadow Greens. Say hello to Ali. Tell him we sent you. You will love it. That'll do it for us. Johnny Radio coming your way. Don't forget tomorrow. Glenn Rogers Jr. and Andy Schiffman. We got NBA news to talk about, the KD deal. Lots still to come. Johnny Harden does come your way in just a minute. We tell you have a great day, everybody, and we'll see you tomorrow.